I often get asked, what are the differences between the Flint and the PHLster Pro Series? So I'm going to go over some basic attachment options, features that are built into the holster, and explain why I would recommend one or the other in certain circumstances. So first, this is the Holsters Flint. It's a right-hand only holster. It has an angled wedge. The wedge is angled this way from the tip of the muzzle up toward the dust cover, but it's also angled this way in relation to the side of the slide. So it's not just tipping the muzzle out away from your body, it's also tipping it and rotating it a little bit. Henry holsters are available with either a full guard or a partial guard. And our most common attachments are dual DCC 1.5s with modwing or dual soft loops with modwing. So this is a right-handed, inside the waistband only. It can be worn strong side or appendix. If you're gonna wear it strong side, I normally recommend soft loops. You can offset them in the different mounting holes and get some forward cant out of it. And then oftentimes for strong side carry, customers will remove this mobbing insert so the wing is not applying as much leverage because you don't need as much grip rotation in that position. So that's the breakdown on the Flint real quick. Here's the PHLster Pro Series. The big difference between the Flint and the Pro Series is that the Pro Series is ambi. It's a completely symmetrical shell. It has attachments high and low on both sides. So if you are left-handed, the Pro Series is what you want. You cannot carry a Henry Holsters Flint. We don't make a left-handed version of it anymore. Used to, but discontinued that a long time ago. The most common attachment options for the Pro Series, if you buy a Pro Series, it will come with soft loops. You can also buy a monoblock kit, DCC monoblock, or you can put dual DCC mod 4s on it, just like we have on the Flint. If you're strong side carrying, my first recommendation for the Pro Series is the DCC monoblock. It's easier to get on and off, does a decent job, and same thing, you can take the mobbing insert out if you're carrying strong side, or you can take the mobbing completely off. In this configuration where the mobbing is mounted alone, or here where the mobbing is mounted alone, if you don't want the mobbing because you don't need that extra grip rotation, you just remove these two screws on the back and take the whole mobbing off. These holsters have non-adjustable retention, fixed retention. So there's no rubber bushings and screw posts that allow you to tension the shell around the holster. The shell is folded and eyeletted here in the shop and the retention level is set. So taking the mobbing on or off doesn't impact the retention really in any measurable way. The DCC monoblock can also be configured with forward cant. You can just tip it in the mounted slots on the holster. The wedge on the Pro Series is much more rounded and is basically flat to the side of the holster, but has much more of a contour and very rounded corners at the bottom. So the wedge design on the Pro is more oriented toward comfort, where the wedge on the Henry holsters Flint is a little more oriented toward angling the holster. And you notice we don't carry the wedge all the way out to the tip of the muzzle, and we don't carry it down to this edge. We're not trying to turn the wedge into the main contact surface with your body, but on the Pro Series, the rounded wedge comes all the way off the edge of the dust cover and wraps all the way down to the joint between the two halves of the holster. And so this gives a much more rounded surface that's going to be in contact with your thigh if you bend down. Other thing on the Pro Series, it's got a mid-height sweat guard. So it's available with basically a partial guard only in your right or left-handed configuration. So when I would recommend one or the other, if you are right-handed and appendix carrying and you want a full sweat guard, go with the Flint. If you are left-handed, go with the Pro. If you want a mid-height sweat guard, you can go with either one. If you want to use a DCC monoblock, if this is an attachment you like, you know you like it, this is what you want to use, go with the Pro because the Flint is not compatible with the DCC monoblock. The spacing for these is set as wide as possible on the holster so we can maximize the spread on a pair of soft loops for belt stability, but it will not play with the DCC monoblock. So if you want the DCC monoblock, get the PHLster Pro. The functioning of the soft loops is basically identical. This configuration on the Flint and this configuration on the Pro are completely the same loops, same hardware, same modeling, same everything. Only difference then is going to be in the wedge. If you are more concerned about comfort and you want a really rounded surface, go with the Pro. The only thing is because the wedge is ambi, it's molded into both sides, it makes the tip of the holster a little bit fatter. If you're wearing very form-fitted clothing, particularly if you're a woman, a Pro Series holster will tend to give you more difficulty with printing through the clothing below your belt, what we call gun dick. So if that is a concern for you because of your clothing or your body type or your build, how you plan to carry, the Flint is thinner than the Pro because the wedge is only on one side on the Flint. I think that's pretty much it. That's my breakdown on the Henry Holsters Flint versus the PHLster Pro Series. They are both made complete here in our shop in Bloomington, Indiana. And so the level of quality and attention to detail and the consistency of the product is going to be basically identical. The real differences come down to different design choices that make them more or less suitable for certain specific applications and customer types. So knowing what you're looking for and understanding how the holsters are different will help you make a more informed choice there. Thanks for watching.